Mambition. Hi, Catherine.
Hi.
Welcome back to Mambition, everybody. Against the odds, against the chaos, against the grain of life, we are here.
Woo.
Woohoo! Welcome back, guys. This is Tiffany, and today I have the lovely Catherine. Before I get into all the intro for you, I know you guys in the US are on the other side of the summer holidays. What is that like?
Yeah, we're back to, I mean, it really depends on where in the US, but a lot of us are back to school already. So it is chaos.
Man, send us some solidarity.
You'll be there soon. We'll all be in it together.
Before we get recording, I don't know whether you've seen. There's a lady, Nisha. I don't know why I remember her name, but I sometimes post just like post on LinkedIn will stay with me. Nisha Tweed. Shout out to Nisha Tweed. She posted this thing when her kids were back to school. It was like an infographic of a lady like throwing a baby. I mean, it's not as bad as it sounds, right? It's just like a little
Mhm.
cute little picture. And then she said, kids are back to school. She's how relieved she is, and to be able to just like have a conversation and get back to work. And obviously, everyone was loving it, like woo woo. And apparently, she got a few like negative comments about it, like, "Why would you
Mhm.
post this about your kids if they see this when they're older?" And everyone's like, "Really?"
I think that's really hard. Parents
Yeah,
are probably judged more than any other group of women, especially on social media. I mean, if you're just a parent, you're judged whether you breastfeed, formula feed, you judge whether you have screen time or not screen time, you judge the food you put on the table. And it's just so hard. I mean, I've done the same thing where it's so bittersweet. Like, I'm so glad we have the routine back. My kids really thrive in the routine. And I also miss them. It can
yeah.
be both for that mom, right? She's so happy they're back. The kids thrive in school and she gets to have real conversations and get back to her work, more regular schedule. And also, she misses them. And I wish we could kind of sit in the middle with both of those feelings at once and be a little bit more open-minded and like understanding of both perspectives for
This is
parents.
true. This is true. And I just enjoy like almost like the humor of it as well. Like almost this it's like I think what it is, I think it's I don't know if it's like a British thing or just like actually no, I think Americans do it better. Just like this some dark it's
We
almost like
do.
a dark humor. Yeah, it's like this weird dark humor. Like we clearly love our children. And it's
Right.
like dark humor of saying like we are tired doesn't mean we're not grateful. Just because we're not sitting there
Yeah.
going, I'm very tired, but also grateful, like it doesn't mean that gratitude isn't there. And I think it's a shame that people can't just post things and have a laugh about it
Yeah.
without
Hmm.
everyone saying, oh, you must hate your kids. But yeah, it's just, no, you've got to have a bit of a, I think, a sense of humor about parenting and
Hmm.
like the how stressful it is sometimes.
Well, I think it went viral online, but there was a group of moms in Atlanta that had like a post school drop off brunch. And it was a huge, the whole restaurant was filled. It turned
Wow.
into a dance party. They had mimosas.
No way.
Like, that's so wonderful that one, it built community of a bunch of moms at
Mm,
that school that got together, right?
I
And
love that.
two, like, just, yes, of course we love and miss our kids, but like they love school too.
Mm.
And I just thought it was a great, funny thing that they all got together and did that. And I said, maybe I should do that next year with all the moms that drop off and we all go have brunch afterwards. Not because we're celebrating, oh, we got rid of our kids, but like maybe it's we survived summer, or maybe it's they love it, let's celebrate, or we got them here. It's a lot of work to go back to school and to parent in general. So I think we could all use a little bit of celebration.
I love that so much. I love that so much.
Good. I'll just
Yeah.
send it to you.
Yeah, no, wow, like that is beautiful. It's like you can, I don't know, like people talk about like the journey, right? I don't know, are we like waiting for the destination of when they go to university or start their own life? Why can't we in the moment pause and like, celebrate something or enjoy the journey? And I think to me that represents parents enjoying the journey, like knowing that they can still live their life alongside their children in a way that recognizes that you can enjoy this. It doesn't have to be sacrificial to be done
Mhm.
correctly. You can actually like have a life. You can, leave them or people who care about them are happy to see them. And yeah, it's insane. I think it's such a shame that we sort of emphasize that sacrificial nature of motherhood, but we don't appreciate the joy that you can have in the journey of it. And taking a break is okay. Having freedom is okay as well. Yeah, I think yeah, I can just picture that, and it looks beautiful to me.
I think that it takes time to do that. Like as I've gotten older, I've gotten better with the journey of it versus the destination. I think that takes time. And then also when they're so young, it is just survival mode.
Yeah.
So it is really hard to find the joy when you're not sleeping, you know? And then they get a little bit older and then they have personalities and then they like figure out friends that they like and sports that they like, and then that's so much joy. So the journey keeps changing, which also makes it hard, but enjoying each moment and also acknowledging that it's hard. I mean, it just takes time. And I think as I've gotten older and my kids are a little bit older, it's a little bit easier to spend some time in both spaces rather than just feeling like I have to sacrifice my whole life
Mm.
for them, when it's also good for them to see that I have other things. I am a different person outside of just mom. I have a career and friends and hobbies, and I like to read and travel. I think it's good for them to see that too. But it is something that I still work on to this day, enjoying the journey.
No, absolutely. But I think ultimately we are all a work in progress. And I think,
Yeah, I
even for me,
agree.
I think one thing I've always one perspective I've always had of this was, losing my mom. I lost my mom when I was quite young. So my brother was two. And
Wow.
sometimes I sit there and I think she didn't get to see him.
Hmm.
She didn't get to see a chapter where he wasn't in a baby car seat. I picture it like that and I think, so why do we then sort of kind of tie certain, I don't know, certain plans to the next milestone when actually who says that's guaranteed? And that, to me, that's quite visceral in my mind. And I think so that's why I kind of coined this term of the margins. I have the margin mentality. It's like, yeah, the margin mentality. Like, yeah, I can do things, and it may not be perfect, but I'd rather get it started now than waiting until they get to university, waiting until they get married, waiting until they have their own life, because surely that's not guaranteed. And it's actually been quite helpful for me as well to kind of lower my like expectations, lower my sense of like things have to be perfect. And I'll say, look, we'll just get it started. My ambition may have some noise in the background. Like just before we were recording this, the kids were shouting, and that's okay. Like obviously the system's
Like,
going to take some of that out. But if we wait until the kids are older to start my ambition, it won't exist. So yeah, I definitely think helping by me sort of embracing that term of there's no better time than now. I get things started, and at least I will do it with what I have today, and then see what happens tomorrow. But yeah, I definitely think to create anything now in this stage of life, you certainly have to kind of have a different approach to it. Otherwise, you'll be waiting until when.
yeah, I think motherhood really changed that for me. I mean, when you're in your 20s, I feel like you just think you have the whole world ahead of you,
Yeah.
and then motherhood and pregnancy and having a miscarriage and having, tough postpartum really makes you look at, it's not guaranteed and it is really hard. So you have to fit it in. And I don't mean like hustle culture, fit it in. I mean like find the joy in the margins. And I remember a trip I went with my kids and we had like 3 really bad days. My son had a double ear infection, was on amoxicillin. We didn't know he was allergic to amoxicillin. He broke out on all the hives and we were, not at home, and it was really stressful. And so I came back on the trip and I thought, that whole trip was ruined just because of those 3 days.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of work since then to think, but we did have some really great memories and some pockets of joy in that. So it has taken time to really not think one bad day or one bad season has ruined it all for you.
Mm.
And so same thing with the margins for me is I do that for my kids too, like finding the pockets of joy even when it's really hard or they're, going through a growth spurt or they're having a hard time at school or whatever. And I'm teaching that to them too, and also trying to find the joy in the margins. But it's also the hobbies and the building what I'm building with Camply in the margins. And there is no perfect time. There was no perfect time to have my kids. I thought there
Yeah.
was, But there was no perfect time. There was no perfect time to, have the next one. And there was COVID in between and, all the things. Like there was no perfect time. And I don't think it exists. So I think you just really have to look at your values and think, like, what do you cherish and what means most to you? And for that, I'm still figuring out for me, right? Like what hobbies light me up and what things I want to do for myself in the margins, like getting back into exercise and taking care of myself that way. And building this is hard. I mean, it's hard with kids and in the margins and carpool lines and all in your household duties and being a wife and all the things. But I wouldn't change it because, like you said, it might not happen if I waited. And it's hard, but it is wonderful. I mean, I think that's when you're doing something that you love, when you want to do it in the margins, when you have time and you're showing your kids that you are doing something you love and they get to see that too. So I think if you can do it now, gosh, if I could say that to so many women, like if there are moms out there that are in the thick of it and have an idea, like I just want them to go for it. It is really hard and it doesn't matter. You don't have to like live up to the expectations of grow, 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 grow so fast in hustle culture, like build it on your own terms. Just like take that one step and then another step, because I think that there's so much potential and there's so many women that have so many great ideas and that are building things that I just would love to see more women owned businesses, honestly.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And I think obviously I know that you're building Camply at the moment for anyone who is listening. So Camply is a platform that helps busy parents find, plan, and coordinate the summer camps and school breaks. So, and I know, Kathryn, also that you come from a management consulting background.
Yes.
I used to recruit for consultants, so I had a glimpse into what that lifestyle must have been like. Especially, I know
Yeah.
you worked for some of the top tier strategy consultancies. So obviously that sort of high stakes environment, working across different industries, and then now you're solving, taking all that to solve a different type of problem, and then raising two children. And you mentioned you have two boys aged 8 and 5.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, let's sort of break it down a bit because I think one part of me definitely wants to understand, like, why is Kathryn the type of person that will quit, maybe a good career and then build a business alongside motherhood? Because I think that's always what I'm trying to glimpse on this podcast. Like, what is it about you? Is it so you're, from your background, from your childhood? Is it some about your resilience? Because the thing is always the time to sort of break that down, isn't it? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what takes you to quit something perhaps that's a bit steady or I don't know, like predictable, right? A job, a good career, to then think, okay, I'm going to build something. I'm interested in that sort of transition as well.
My I had always wanted stability and safety.
Okay.
And so my parents were divorced when I was younger, and I thought that financial freedom and safety meant corporate ladder. And I did the things, I got the good grades, I went to college, I, got a job immediately after, I did internships, then I got into consulting and I was like, I'm going to work my way up. I'm going to work the 60-hour weeks. And I did that. And I just started not feeling like there were very many women that had families at the top. So I started noticing that very early. Then there was a big phase where like several of the women who were like one or two levels above me were leaving. And I thought, okay, that doesn't seem great. And really, I think it all changed when I had my first. I thought, oh, wow, this is not sustainable for one. And I'll be honest, that it was really hard for me to leave. It was really good money. And I just thought, what am I going to do? So I tried going part-time. I tried going, and then I did full-time, and I took maternity leave with my kids. And I thought, well, I'm just going to change industries. So I went to a different industry. I left consulting, and I thought that would solve the problem, right? I thought, okay, well, same money, but maybe not as many hours. I just need more flexibility. I need to work remote. I need more flexibility. And I thought that was going to be the problem, the solving of the problem, because I didn't want to let go of the money. And that is something that I felt, I think, is a product of parents divorcing, right? Like, I wanted to have the independence, the security of money. Um, and then after switching out of consulting and going to a different industry into a health tech startup, I thought, this isn't it either. And then I had always wanted to build something. There was always like, I have a notes app of like all these ideas over years that I had had, but I never maybe had the courage to do it and or felt it was the right time based on, we were talking about earlier. And then I was a part of layoffs, and that just kind of, I took 2 months and didn't do any job searching. I just took time off to myself and spent a lot of time reflecting and said, there is no perfect time. And what do I love to do the most? Well, my son has food allergies. And so I love to talk to other parents who are experiencing it for the first time and teaching them and sharing about resources that I've used and, sharing about that and getting involved with the organization. And when I had my miscarriage, that was helping the consulting company add miscarriage and pregnancy loss to their leave benefits so that other women knew it was an option for them to take leave for that type of loss. And I was like, okay, the reoccurring theme here is that I'm helping parents or soon to be parents. And then, of course, it was late one night, and the first year I planned summer camps for my kid. It was like March, and I didn't know I was behind. He was 4 in pre-K. I didn't even know that I would have to plan for summer. And I was late, and he was 4, not yet 5. So he didn't like qualify for some of the summer camps because of his age. And then I thought, man, this is really hard, but I didn't do anything about it that year. I was working. And then I was laid off, and then I was planning it again. And I thought, this is crazy. Women are building their own systems and structures for this, their spreadsheets, their mom group chats. They're searching with 1,000 tabs open. I'm doing it. All my friends are doing it. Why doesn't it exist? And so I built it out of my own pain point, of course, but also all the other mothers that I had seen. And then I thought a piece of it was, it's really interesting that we have so much loneliness now, like post COVID, but I think mothers in general are lacking that community. And it's 11 p.m. in January, and we're all alone at night in our homes, texting each other about planning summer camps. And in a way, how sad is that? Not only are we doing this in the margins of life, right? After we've worked full days and taken care of the kids all day, and that's the only time we can do it. But we're all alone solving the problem individually instead of collectively coming together and doing it. And so I thought, this is going to be my thing. This is it. Because I'm organized. I was a management consultant. I'm type A. And I think the
spreadsheets.
yeah. And I do think the biggest barrier for me was the money part. Like, I'm not going to go back and look for a job and have that kind of income coming in. It takes a while to build a company. And that was something that I internally had to navigate around. But I also had done a lot of work with my values and knew that spending time with my family and the flexibility that building my own business would bring me to be able to do 3 p.m. carpool was something that I couldn't say no to. And I will say that that comes with a lot of privilege because my husband has a full-time job with benefits. So those are 2 huge things. And I have investments from my previous jobs that have helped me to fund Camply. And there's a lot of that allows me to be able to do this that many people don't have. But that allowed me to take the leap of faith to be like, okay, I'm going to put aside all of that potential money that I could be making, and I'm going to build this thing because I believe in it for other parents. And it is really scary at sometimes. And sometimes my margins are really thin to build it in between, school and sick kids and, other household things and family events where you go and travel or whatever. But I just am so excited to be able to help families. And I got I got an email about 3 weeks ago from a mom, and she said, totally unprompted, she said, my son's daycare closed. And I knew it was during summer, so she didn't have anywhere for her kid. And she said, I knew that I would be covered through summer until I got into the next daycare because I had camps that I found through you. And I was like, that is the biggest compliment I could ever get in my entire life, that I helped one mom find care for her kid for the summer until she could find out her new full time daycare. Because that's what I want to do. I just want to help parents feel a little bit less stressed about all of the logistics of summer camps and school break camps, and then hopefully activities and beyond moving forward.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that. There's so much there, isn't there? There's so much in what you shared. I think the furthest thing that stood out to me was this like this identity reconstruction post like with came with motherhood, like what you said about your kind of not your ident that your money identity, how that
Mhm.
felt like that was that was like the most important thing to make sure I was financially secure in case, right? Because life hits life, whatever life brings, but how motherhood almost like reoriented that. Isn't that interesting? And it's almost like
I think motherhood does that to a
yeah.
lot of us for
Mm,
whatever reason. It was like money and like career for me. But I think, there's that term matrescence.
yes.
And I didn't even hear about that until after I had had my
Mm,
second. And I thought, what a beautiful word to describe the journey of motherhood. And we change so much as people when we become parents,
yeah.
and especially moms. And I don't know that it's really talked about that much. I mean, everybody says, like, oh, I'm mom now. But outside of mom, Kathryn and Tiffany have changed as individuals, what you value, your confidence too. Like sometimes that's like wrecked to the floor after having babies, and then you have to build it back up from nothing. I just think the journey of that is so beautiful, and that there are so many things that women are learning
Mm.
about ourselves and each other after we've had kids.
Yeah, but I think it's amazing that you gave yourself the permission to change because I think that's hard. That's hard to, it's hard to like to actually like allow yourself to change. Yeah, I think that's hard. So what I think that's amazing for you to look at life and be like, okay, the money is important, but I think also, like you said, the time with my children and being able to do certain things. And I think that's beautiful because for me as well, it's something I think about a lot. Like sometimes I see myself doing things and I think, who's this person? But this is who I am now. And
Mhm.
I often think even like it's crazy how even ambition changes, right? Because I now think my ambition includes my ambition for my children. Like it
Mhm.
doesn't make sense for me to be ambitious over there when they're like these children are over here. I'm like, how do I, bring this ambition into their lives? And you know, that's not for me to like over plan their life because I have a life too. I saw that gives me a bit of space, but it's more like who are they? Who are they becoming? Like how is my presence and time in their lives like making a difference? And I'm conscious of that because what's the point in being super successful? Well, for me anyway. Anybody listening, don't take this personally. It's not a question for you. I do like reflective question to myself. What's the point of you like making lots of money over here, doing incredible things? Within a company. See how we go to work and we give work out everything. We're like the best employee ever. Then we come home, we're tired, give our family like the most, like lowest energy because we've given to work. And sometimes
Mhm.
I look at them like, this is the most important thing I will do. And that doesn't mean I'm going to be, like neglect work on my ambitions. I still am. But yeah, I think mother has certainly taught me to like pay attention to this. So nowadays as I go through my life and knowing what my values are, I definitely like commit to paying attention and thinking, what am I doing with these children? How am I spending my time with them? Am I going to be with them and be on the phone? Or am I going to be present? And I know, of course, it's not easy. So I'm not saying, I'm some sort of yogi type person that puts the phone away all the time. But yeah, I think it's just paying attention to how my ambition is playing an integral part in their life as well. But yeah, I definitely think you've got to allow yourself to change and redefine your values post motherhood.
Yeah. I think I, like you, have ambition both
Yeah.
ways in spades,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
Like career wise, I've always wanted to build something, move up the corporate ladder in
Yeah.
whatever way. I was ambitious, and it wasn't always money. There was for sure lots of pride attached to that, like a title, the company I worked for, like there was a lot of that too. And like you, isn't the most beautiful thing I do in the world to raise my kids and my boys into a world where they are kind and inclusive and respectful. And when I look back, I have done a lot of this, like when I'm 80, right? Like when
Yes.
I'm 80, what am I going to look back on? And I had this wonderful boss who was a VP at the consulting firm, and she has since passed away, but she had said, she knew how much the consultants were working and all the hours. And she had said, she pulled me away, I think before I even had my first. Maybe I was pregnant. And she said, when you're older, you're going to look back and you're going to want to have wanted to spend time with your family. And I want both. I want the career and I have the ambition for it and I'm building a business for it and I want the time with my family. I also know that seasons change. So now they're a little bit little, but when they're in high school, they're not hanging out with me. They're going with their friends, they're doing sports, like it's going to, and then I'll be an empty nester and that, like there's just all these phases that you just have to figure out what fits for you in the moment. And yes, I'm allowed to want both. And do I do it perfectly? Absolutely not. But like you said, I try to pay attention to the moments where, I can just enjoy them while they're little. And did I ignore a couple of Slack messages? Yes, I did, but it was worth it because we were at the pool the last day of summer before school started, and it is really hard. I don't like the term balance because I don't think it really exists for working mothers. Um, and it is a challenge. I think every day you just have to find the little pockets and do what you love. And I think part of that too, as a becoming a mom, it's the purpose. Like I didn't feel a lot of connection to the mission and the purpose of the companies I was at. And now that I'm doing this, I am like, I'm helping other moms, other parents, other caregivers. And I feel so connected to that in a way that makes me feel joy. It can be detrimental because I will stay up until 2 a.m. working because I'm like, I gotta get this out for moms. And that's the type of personality I am. But I'm also like, I have to go to bed because I want to be a good mom tomorrow. Um, so it's always really tough.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I think it's almost like a tapestry. I've completely like, it's like a tapestry, and it's all unique for everyone. Motherhood,
Yeah.
I think it is because I think that's why you can't. I don't know. I feel like with success in general, like when people have success, 10 steps success, which is I think that's quite a useful it's like a useful mapping, isn't it? Like okay,
Mhm.
build great relationships. They might say, I don't know, advocate for yourself. I do think there are certain things that you can do to help yourself that are generic, well,
Right.
generalistic, and apply to most people. But I really think motherhood is blows out of the water. I really think it's a tapestry. Parenting in general, like I think we're not just these people that come here and just have children. We're thinking about the child in us, how we were raised. We're
Yeah.
thinking about like our relationship with money. There's just so much that comes into parenting that I really think it's about sitting down. You really have to create your own. I really think that's what it is because some people have help. Like I have a village. So anyone listening to this podcast, I always say, look, shout out to the grandparents. This is powered by the grandparents. This is not purely powered by my determination and resilience. I could be
Right.
as resilient as I want to, but the reality is I feel like I have someone really loving and kind to be looking after my children right this second they're with their grandmother. This podcast might not be here. So I really think with motherhood, you really have to strip it all back and you have to sit down and think, okay, what's my capacity? What's the
Mhm.
village that I have? What really hurts me here? What's the chip on my shoulder? And I really think it's really a unique set of those things coming together. I really think that's what it is that then allows you to then build that motherhood that makes sense for you. And I think unless you do that, I genuinely think you will be pulled in all directions, or you feel like you're not doing enough. That person seemed like a ultra super mom. I want to be like them. I really think that's what it is. And I think unless you do that sort of work, you will always feel like maybe you're not doing enough, or it's like, because there are people who do less and they are satisfied. So it's
Mhm.
insane. Do you not
Well,
think?
it's so different for every
Yeah.
person. And I think I see my kids and it's a little bit of a mirror to myself, right?
Yeah.
Like they are dysregulated. Well, is that because I'm dysregulated and I'm doing some work to parent them in a different way that I was parented? And a lot of that is a lot of work as the parents, like for our own self and relearning things. And I will even say, you know, things in a way that's like, I see that you're angry. It's okay to be angry. And, and I'm just like, I don't remember getting that kind of.
No. What?
It was like, go to your room.
I'll give you something to cry about. Oh, God.
And not that that was wrong either. And so I think we're all trying to learn like what is right for us as a parent, and that can be different for everybody. And I don't have a lot of grandparent help. One of the grandparents is still working, they live out of town, one that lives here, like, so I don't have a lot of help, but I pay for care. And I think either option is one what keeps us running, right? We're both allowed to work. You have family care, I have paid childcare, I have my paid village.
Mhm.
And that's the choice that we've made. And could I make different choices? Sure, but it's working for us now. And it's everyone's experience is so different. I just, and I'm still learning it, like I'm not a pro mom, nor will I ever be. I'm not perfect. I just am doing what I think is best for my kids and my family and me and my husband. And I don't think there's a right answer, like you said with the tapestry, like I'm such a visual person, we're all weaving different stories from our childhood all throughout that. And then there's periods of stress in the tapestry. And then, oh, it's a little bit easier now that they're older, and we're all going at a different pace, and they're all going to be created in a different way, and they're all going to be unique in their own way. I just think that's a beautiful way to imagine motherhood as it is for so many women.
Yeah. And to almost like make peace with your own version of it, I think
Mhm.
there is definitely that as well. I think in yeah, and I think for me, I think we discussed it briefly. Like I think about all the things that allows me to enjoy this. And it's definitely, like I said, the help I get. I'm a much more nicer mom because of it, definitely, because I can emotionally regulate because I've been to the gym, I can emotionally regulate because I haven't been with them all day. I can
Right.
emotionally regulate because I do my ambition. So I have a passion project.
Hmm.
Um, and I think about, yeah, like what makes this possible. And against all that as well is, obviously having a career, having my ambition, and having the kids, going to the gym. But I do all that just because I I feel like this is a version of motherhood that I want. And it's against how I grew up, and like my dad wasn't around a lot because he was always working. And I look at my life and I think, look, I'm fortunate to live in a time when we have Wi-Fi and you can create opportunities. And I build up on so the foundation my dad has given me with the discipline and the consistency, and think, okay, I'm going to take that to the next level. And then I look at my children and think, how can I pour everything I am into them? Being able to advocate for them, being able to help them think about self-love, as well as the educational piece is great. Being good at school, good at writing, but do you like yourself? Are you confident? Can you forgive yourself? Can you give yourself grace? So yeah, I just think it's like we're building blocks, isn't it? We're taking what our parents are giving us, we're building on it. But yeah, I definitely think it's too unique, and it's too unique to even sometimes make sense of it. I just think it's about looking at yourself and breaking down the parts of you that makes this work. Because I think I look at you and it's like you're clearly building a business, with two children. Like that sounds very hard. But I love the fact that you said you've got this why in the corner somewhere, isn't it? About wanting to make a difference and help parents. So I
Hmm.
imagine that money aside, the hard days aside, that keeps you going and gives you that fuel to find it in you, right? To keep building this thing.
It does. And there are really hard days.
Yeah,
And there are days where I'm like, did I have a win this week? And
yeah,
we were talking about how, I went on that trip and I felt like that one bad thing ruined the whole trip. And now, years later, I'm able to be like, it was a really small win, but yes, I did have some wins. Was it the win I hoped for? Was it the revenue number I hoped for? No, it wasn't. And that's okay. And I get to try again. And what you said is that we get to model that for our kids, the self love and the discipline and the ambition and the confidence. That is what I keep telling myself too, day in and day out. Like, is this a really scary thing to do as a mother? And I don't have the income that I had before. And do we have to make sacrifices as a family because I'm not making the money? Yes. And also, I get to tell my kids some days I did a really scary thing. Just yesterday or 2 days ago, I had a big mistake and it took me all day to fix it. And I was very frustrated about it. And I sat down at the dinner table and I said, Mommy made a big mistake at work. And I was very mad and upset and frustrated. And it took me a lot of time to fix it. But I'm really proud of myself because I did, and I asked for help when I needed it. And so it's so small, but when kids get to see you do something that's scary or risky, they're going to get the confidence that they can do it too. And when they see you working really hard at work, they're going to see that they can do it too. And when they see you taking time for yourself, like going to the gym, they're going to be able to know that that's okay that they do it too. Or when I'm overstimulated at 6 p.m. cooking dinner, everyone's screaming and yelling and wrestling, and I'm just like, I need 5 minutes, and I walk out the door. Like that is showing them that mom's dysregulated, she needs a minute, and then I can come back in and be a better parent. And so for me, yes, it is really hard. And I'm showing, I hope, right? That's the goal, that I'm showing my kids that you can do hard things and it can be really scary and you can get through it and people will help you. And that's what life's about, the journey, like we said. It's not about I hit this revenue number or I got A pluses. It's like, did you learn? Did you learn something about yourself in the process? So it is not always easy to remember that that's what I'm trying to do for myself and my kids at the moment. But when I look in it and I'm like, you know what, I really am trying to model that behavior so that they know that things are hard and then they can do it too. Because I also want my kids, especially since I'm raising boys, to have this respect for women and know that if their wives or partners at any point want to do something like that, like they show how their dad is supporting me through that all. Like all of those relational pieces are so important. And I don't want to shy away from that for them because I wouldn't be able to do it without my husband because he has the career and the stable job and the income and the benefits and everything. And when I decide I want to work late, he'll get up in the morning with them. And there's all these things that go into it. And it is hard, but it's a beautiful thing. And I think we're all trying to model that in some way, shape, or form, whether that's your, a career mom or doing a passion project or got laid off and are looking for a job and it's a horrible job market right now. Like you keep trying and that is showing your kids something.
Yeah, but that makes sense. I think what you said, even like touching on the fact that you're raising boys, and what you said about like showing them that in real time that women have careers. I don't know, women have careers. Women can pursue something they are passionate about. That family supports each other. That one sometimes both partners can do different things to make the family work and integrate. But isn't it interesting? Because I think we go through life not, for example, like we go through life not in school, for example, not having any curriculum around like relationship and like relationship with yourself, with other people. I think it's mind blowing now that I think about it, how that is such a big part of our lives, and yet we only learn about the numbers and what else, but we don't learn relationships. And I think it's incredible that you're almost giving them this version of relationships, like what a family looks like, how a family can do different things, and it's about everyone playing a part. And I think that's wonderful, because I always think, in a way, what we're modeling to our children is like we're giving them almost like children's size version of what a thriving adult is.
Hmm.
And that's, it's like, okay, like for example, when like sometimes when I want to go to the gym, I remember when my kids were slightly more younger, they'd be like, oh mommy, don't go to the gym. They'd be at the door like trying to like stop me from going, but I was like, no, I'm going to the gym, because I know 2 seconds later they're happy and fine. So I always think to
Hmm.
myself, well, it seems hard and weird, but ultimately you're raising children to be independent. You want your children to be able to, in the future, maybe, love someone else, but still love themselves enough to not attach themselves unhealthily to someone else. So in a way, it's like I'm giving them the child-sized version of that adult that can love someone but not be, not be healthily attached. I think
Hmm.
about things like, okay, wash your dishes, take your dishes to the sink after you finish eating, and that's number one rule in our house. And it's like, yeah, you want an adult that can do hard things. And yeah, I genuinely think in the moment it always feels like we're spoiling them, or maybe are we ruining them with our ambition. But actually, if we thought about what that would play out to be in the course of 10, 15, 20 years. Because
Yeah.
I interviewed someone, she's a grandmother, she's incredible, and she said how mothers just, like, the one lesson she has for mothers is that your ambition won't ruin your children. Like the way they will look back on it will be so much more different than you think in this moment. And I thought that was really nice to hear.
Yeah. I had a working mom. My
Yeah.
husband's mom was mostly stay at home. She had
Okay.
some side projects. So we both grew up very differently in that terms of support. I mean, his mom did all the pickups and drop offs and all that stuff. And so when I look at my boys, I want them to see, and my partner is very much a contributor, like we are, because of the flexibility in my job, I do a lot of the pickups and everything, but he does the sports registrations and all those things too. But I think for me, we still have, I think it was like 70% of the household stuff women are still doing, right? And so it's very important to me, like you, because it's not just a default, this is a woman's job, right? Like the laundry or the dishes or whatever. Like I'm trying to do this is out of a respect for the place that we live and for us. And we are a team together as a family, and we all contribute in our own way. And they're small. So I'm not great at this. Like I tell my son all the time, my oldest, I say, I am learning at the same time that you are learning. This is the first time I have parented an 8-year old. This is the first time you have been an 8-year old. Like we are doing this together. I don't have it right. And I often apologize and try to repair with my kids when I make a mistake. But just so that, I don't know, I feel so passionately about taking time for myself so that they can see that I do that, and then also have resilience when they feel that it's hard. Well, why does mommy get to go do this? And I'm like, well, this is important for mommy. And when you have something that's important to you, we'll look at that. And I also don't want to sacrifice my entire being as mom. I am not just mom. And I'm still trying to figure that out. Like, what other hobbies would I be interested in so I can have some time to myself and that helps me grow and also regulate myself, other than the gym and reading, which I both love to do. But I want them to be like, I can't give up everything for you, because then you're not going to do it for yourself. I can't always do all the laundry. You want to wear the same favorite shirt every day? Well, then we're going to have to teach you about putting it in the laundry basket and telling mom and helping mom, like there is all of that I'm still learning too, so that they can be like valued and awesome contributors to the community and to the world, because I will not be raising incompetent future men that rely on their partner for all of that work. And that there's a lot of pressure there, but I just can't do it. And we've got to be changing that. And I do think in terms of education, like there's so much more social emotional learning now in school systems and in education that is going to help leaps and bounds with kids. But so much of that is also done at home, you know, is really hard.
Absolutely. I mean, my kids don't have a choice because I can't cook anyway, so their dad does all the cooking. So I think without meaning to, without meaning to already, hopefully,
Yeah.
giving them an imprint like maybe daddy cooks. I don't know because I don't. Or, I'll tell you a funny story. My husband makes really good like lasagna and he's very good
Oh,
to cook. Yeah, oh,
yeah.
he's the cook. He's the cook. Like, yeah, it got to shame to a point where I'm ashamed of actually cooking. I'm like,
We
this
all
is
have our things.
honestly, I'm like, let me just leave it. I always think, just Tiffany, just leave it. I made one time I remember I thought, oh, I can make it. I was in Bolognese. I thought I can make Bolognese. It can't be that difficult. I remember serving it to kids and just get pushing around the plate.
Oh no.
I just thought, yeah, it's so funny. But yeah,
Not daddies.
yeah, no, that is. But yeah, I think it's but I'm glad for that because I'm glad I don't like cooking and never paid much attention to it. I'm quite glad because I think it just means that they already seen a role that usually is on the woman, right? It's quite
Mhm.
nice. It's like it just doesn't follow me to do anything in the kitchen cooking wise. So I think that that's really good. 'Cause I have a boy and a girl, so I'm always conscious about where,
Mhm.
how we're sort of giving them both unique experiences that make sense and it's balanced enough that allows them that men can do that too, women can do that too. But yeah, it is interesting how I think the whole thing around even like the mental load.
Mhm.
I don't know, like I don't know how you see it. Do you think because I've thought to a point that sometimes we just automatically want to do it because number one, we want to prove a point that we're capable. Sometimes we think it's easier if we do it because I don't know, yeah, and sometimes people, other people around us maybe reinforce it as well in how maybe schools will reach out to the mums first.
Mhm. Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's so much there that sometimes you just have to individually like work through your own like sense of like why you're allowing yourself to carry all the load. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, it is really hard. I will say I struggle with this personally.
Yeah.
And it is also very clearly tied to Campley, right? Like
Mm.
most of our parents are the moms,
Yeah.
and they're the ones that carry all of that information in their head. Everything from all the kids' food allergies and doctors' names and phone numbers for the camp registrations, all the way through planning the whole summer and all the school breaks, right? And generally the default parent typically is mom. And I think for me personally is I have such a like type A organized personality that it is a I want it done this way. Therefore, I'm just going to do it. And when I am trying to model that to my kids, it takes a lot for me. And we do this with my husband, and I say like, let's talk about what's done. Like, what do we agree on is done? And we had different definitions of done. And, mine was up here and his was up here. And, but I have to, it really comes down to me, is that I have to be okay with the way he's done it. And is that a life or death scenario, which so much of our like body system, our nervous system makes us feel like we're always living in this flight or fight, whatever, with anything. And the way he takes out the trash, does that really matter? Is that something that I'm gonna fight over? And is it done the way I like it? No, but like, was it done? Did they make it? Is it on the street? Did the trash guys take it out? Then, like, yeah. And so it is a lot of, it is an exercise for me personally of letting go.
Yeah.
And I think it can be really hard for women to do that for so many reasons. I mean, probably it has a lot to do with how you were raised. Like you saw your mom do it all, or you saw things, there was no structure in your family. And so you took on all the structure, and now you have to have structure because you didn't have any growing up. I mean, there are so many ways, and all of the way we were raised, contributes to that. but I think that I am the type of person that takes it on naturally because I tend to feel like I am faster, more efficient. I already have all the information. But what am I teaching to my kids and my partner if I'm not letting go of that and doing it that way? It is really hard. I will say that is probably one of the hardest things for me personally is letting go on that. And I'm even trying to do with my larger extended family. And we were going on a vacation with them, and they were all trying to plan with me because I'm the planner. And I was like, it'll be okay. We'll work on it, trying to let it go. And they were like, what? No, this isn't you. This isn't your personality. And I just thought, it's funny because I'm trying so hard to let go, but my
What
systems,
people know of you.
yeah, they're like, this isn't right. Who are you? What have you done? And, so it takes a lot of work. And I think part of that too is how can we split the labor better? I mean, I will say, and there have been studies that say men now contribute more to household and parenting more than any other generation ever before. And while that is wonderful, there is still work to be done.
Yeah.
And I think that's work on both parents, right? It's work on the spouse to take on more, and it's work on the other spouse, like me, to let go more. And I think that's true for Camply too, like how am I building it for both parents to take ownership of their kids' camp schedule? And especially if you're co-parenting, if you're in a divorced family, how are both parents planning for camps and seeing the schedule so it's not on all one parent to just regurgitate the schedule every week? And so a lot of that in terms of how can I build the systems so I'm not further
Okay.
increasing the stress, because that's the opposite of my goal, right?
Wow.
To make it more equal for parents to be able to do that. And it is really hard because society has made it that way, and the default is parents. And even I've tried to be like, oh, I'm going to put my husband's name first on all the school forms. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They still call me. um, and so I think some of that is, I actually was just talking to a teacher like 2 weeks ago, and she said, what would be something that you would like to see from, your teacher, like the first week of school or whatever? And I said, I wonder if you ever ask, because you fill out all the forms, right? But like if your teacher's calling for an emergency, like your kid's sick or whatever, have you ever asked the parents who's the preferred parent? Instead of assuming it's mom. In my case, it's still me because I work from home and I work for myself. So I am still that parent, and my husband's in the office full time. But there are now many more families where the other parent or the dad is doing that work. So I wonder if we can get into a way where even moms, when you're on a mom group chat, like should we invite the dads into the chat? Why does it have to be a mom group chat? Or can the teachers say, who would you like us to call in emergencies? Well, call dad because he works closer, or whatever. I just think there are ways, itty bitty, that we can like break down the things and make it more, and I don't know, try to make it more equal over time. But I think in general, we're doing better at that. And then it helps to like bring it up in conversations like this
Yeah.
and talking about it and what it means and how we can work on that for ourselves individually and share the load with our partners. I don't have the answer. I wish I did, but it is always a work in progress. And I like that I am seeing more contributions than ever from dads. And I hope that it continues to be that way.
Yeah, no, but that makes sense. It's that personal reflection, isn't it? Because I've also seen that research you mentioned about fathers doing more, but
Mhm.
obviously perhaps the message is getting lost somewhere, isn't it? Reader with like I'm doing more, but it's not. There's probably saying I'm doing more than my parents ever did. Like, isn't that
Yeah.
enough?
Yeah.
Like,
And that's so true. They are. I mean, they 100% are. My husband is
mm,
100% doing more than his
yeah,
dad did and my dad did. I also think not just the it's the mental load piece of it that's so hard. Men are so great at the physical stuff. So like
Mm,
taking out the trash, unloading the dishwasher, bringing in the packages, right? But they're not thinking, oh, but like trash is on Tuesday. Oh, we're going to be out of town. Did you call someone to come pick up the trash? And oh, by the way, did you get all the little trash cans too in all of the kids' rooms and all of the bathrooms? And then did you put those together? And then did you put new bags in all the little trash cans? Like it's all those things that
mm,
go into it. So when I say trash is done, I mean all those things. But when he thinks trash is done, he just took them to the street.
mm.
And now we're good because I've used that example so many times. He knows, he's got it down. But I think that that's like the default is that, oh, I picked up the kids from school, check. Well, yeah, but I'm the one that had to tell you what time and where to go and how to do the carpool line and then where to go afterwards. And then, oh, actually on Tuesdays we have a doctor's appointment. And so it's all of that behind that's invisible that is so hard. And we are always
I,
just
I
it through.
always joke. I think my kids live in my head all day.
Mhm.
I mean, I've already started thinking about like obviously school uniform. I know
Yeah.
that.
And two, and I think it's men in general, because I see it with my dad, is that they're so good at
Yeah,
compartmentalizing
I was about to say that.
and they can like
Yeah.
literally focus on work
Yes, and they do really well.
all day and
It's
not even think about anything else. And then I'm like, oh, shoot, I forgot to send birthday invitations out. Oh, no, I forgot to order more of the prescription. And
yes.
it's just like always running in my head. So I've thought about
Yeah.
like, sometimes I will say out loud all the things in my head. And my husband will kind of like, he's like, you're doing it again. And I'm like, well, I'm trying to
Mm,
express out loud all the things in my
yeah.
head, but I think it's just like word vomit to him. And he's like, your brain works so fast. And I'm like, yes, but I'm trying to unload to you. It is so hard. And I think it really is like men and women are built differently in a certain of type of way. And so I think there is some of that like structurally and whatever too. I
Because
also think it's systemic and how we were raised, and
yeah,
there still is room for improvement, but it is really hard to do it.
really hard. There's so much there. Yeah, it's like I can't put my children down. Like even when they're not here, I like they if they follow me around basically all day, all night. Like
Yeah.
sometimes I woke up in the middle, I've got my phone, reminder, like
Yeah.
it's insane. Like the amount of information in my head is I don't know if like for me if maybe I don't know maybe because we carried them also so we've like part
Mhm.
it's really crazy. But yeah, you're right. I think men like they want to get it done. They don't want to like think about it or like. But I don't know if we want to think about it. Like, if for example, the most silliest thing for me was choosing my daughter's her shoes for school, and I saw this
Mhm.
particular one with the bow. I will not let my husband do it. I wouldn't let him like go and get the shoes. I said, no, no, I have to. And he was like, just leave it with me. Like, no, 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 I need to get shoes because I wanted one with the bow. And if she doesn't have a bow on it, and I was like, it's just a pair of shoes. Eventually, I had to like let go. But isn't that crazy how I gave myself that job because
I
I was,
know.
it's just a pair of shoes.
And it is so very much like once we decide I
Mm,
gave myself that job, there has been so much since I've become a mom that I'm like, I don't want that job anymore. Like cooking, for example, you're
yeah,
like, I'm not good at it. My
no,
husband's good at it. That's not my job. And now I think that that's great because you're showing your kids like, that's not my strong suit and he's great at it. So it works out. But there are things where I'm just like, I don't want that job anymore. But what happens if I don't take that on?
mm,
Does it just fall by the wayside? Do I try to let it go and then it actually didn't matter and it doesn't make a difference at all if I don't do it? Or is it something I pass on? Or is it something I outsource? And so I think there's so much of that, like, I don't like introspective work on
mm.
what are the things that we like to do? What can we outsource? What can we pass to our partner? Or what can we totally let go of?
Yeah, because someone once said that we mistake it. It's not everything that can create connection with our children some tasks are just tasks of having children, like the washing and the dishes and cleaning the house. Like technically, you don't have to do that.
Right.
But a doctor's appointment, yes, that's connection. Maybe going to a school event, that's an actual thing. So yeah, I think for me, what's really helps to separate the two. And once I
Hmm.
did, I was able to then say, you know what, I don't care who does that over there. Like, yeah, I don't care, as long as
Yeah.
it's done. And then if I do this, this is important, and this actually makes a difference in our relationship. No, I love it. And I think, I know time is sort of wrapping up, but I definitely want to talk about, I really liked what you said about your trip, because I think,
Mm.
that time away, without the children. Yeah, talk more about that, because I think that's always something that a lot of people struggle to do. Um, yeah, tell us more.
It is really hard. I went to my hometown for 36 hours. I flew there and back and used points for it because
Mhm.
I didn't want to waste time in the car driving. My goddaughter was getting baptized and I wanted to be there. And was it great timing with many family birthdays and the day before school starting? No. Did I want to be there because it aligned with my values and it's my best friend since I was 2 years old? Yes. And were my kids very sad that they weren't going? Yes. And they can handle it because we were talking about resilience earlier, right? Like they want to come to you, the gym. Oh, mommy, don't go to the gym. Oh, mommy, don't go on your trip. But they were fine and they'll be okay. But I think for me, it was so good because I rarely get uninterrupted work time. And I mean, I do during the day, right? When they're at school, but it was still summer. And so I hadn't really gotten that. And I didn't have to feel guilty about it because sometimes when you are doing it in the margins, there are other, even if the kids aren't around, oh, I could be doing laundry. I could be doing this. I could be running this errand. And so there's always that push and pull. But when I went on this trip by myself, I had that independence and agency to work when I wanted to work. And I took some, fun time for myself too. I did a little bit of shopping and then I had lunch by myself, which when was the last time that happened? Um, and I love some of that stuff. When I was in my 20s, I studied abroad and I lived by myself for a period of time and I traveled by myself. And I'm so glad I did that because I know I can. And some I have talked to someone like last year and they were like, I have never eaten a meal by myself. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. And maybe you're just a really social person and you love to be around people or whatever, but I think there's a lot. I didn't bring a book and I didn't have my phone. I just enjoyed the food and I had a little cocktail at lunch on a Saturday. And when was the last time that happened? Um, and I just had a lovely day. And then I spent time with my friends and that sweet little baby girl. I have realized as I have been a part, been a mother and a part of this journey is that sometimes quiet time and time to yourself is so rejuvenating. And other it's not often that moms get it. Like, again, I have a great partner and we have childcare if we need it, but it was so good to just have thinking time and quiet time and me time. And I wish that there was more for that for all moms. And I'm able to do that. And that's something don't take for granted. But I like we said, my mind is always thinking, right? Like thinking about the kids all the time, but I wasn't with them and there wasn't anything I could do. So I really did a little bit more of letting go than usual. And it was a great trip. So I felt like really refreshed going into back to school that first day. My flight was delayed and that wasn't perfect, but I still got in to kiss them goodnight before the first day of school and then take them to school the next day. So um, it all worked out and it was a great trip. So I was very glad to have like 36 hours to myself, which is so rare.
No, I love that, because that's my language right there.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's what you said there. You mentioned a lot about the solitude you had before children. I had that as well a lot. I used to do a lot of like traveling. So I love being a mom. I mean, the other day I sat and I thought, I love this so much, but I'm also grateful that I was able to build this time of enjoy my own company before kids. So now when the kid's not here, I'm generally like okay with it. Like,
Yeah.
I have lots of I don't know thoughts maybe, or I I'm very like in my mind probably a bit mad, but I definitely I'm able to be by myself, and I often think about like beyond the summit, um, beyond the roles of being a wife and a mother, like who we are beyond that, and
Hmm.
how it's saying that we enjoy that time about ourselves. We want to do things about ourselves. Doesn't mean that we don't appreciate that those roles. No, it doesn't. I just think it's part of like this sense of the, who we are aside of
Hmm.
those roles, and I think it's important. I think I actually maybe look at it as actually it feeds who we are in those roles, because I feel like when I'm
Absolutely.
confident as a mom, when I'm able to do things for myself and spend time with myself, actually makes me a better mom. Like I'm a better mother who's confident behind you when there's problem at school, or your problem in yourself and you need someone to really share some wisdom with you. And I just think, yeah, we never underestimate pouring into that person, because
Yeah.
yes, it makes you not just fabulous for yourself, but also fabulous for your children. Like I look at my children, like you're like reaping from the foundations of what I built before you. So I can't then just put those foundations aside, because I still need to continue that, because you're needing me now for snacks and emotional regulation. But one day you're going to need me for like boyfriend and girlfriend advice. One day you're going to
Hmm.
need me for like real
Career.
life chaos and dark things. So, and I know I can carry that simply because I've see myself in so many situations, and I just think that's what it is. It gives you this richness of experience and confidence and stories and perspective that I just think, I generally think my kids are lucky to have me, because I've been through that much and I've seen that much like plethora of experiences.
And you have to keep feeding that. I mean,
Yes,
we're
yeah.
always growing, and so you're always changing, but you have to like yourself and you want your kids to like themselves.
Mm,
So if you don't like who you are as a person, and while that changes and you need time to yourself to do that, and values work and therapy or whatever, your thing is, but like ultimately you want your kids to love themselves and who they are.
mm,
And so you're also modeling that. And I think having that alone time and independence can just give you some space to feel that and pour into yourself. Because what is that expression, something about like, take, it's that life mask thing in the airplane, put on yours before you put on your kids. And I don't think as moms we do that enough, and we should.
mm. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. But yeah, I think we'll start to sort of wrap it up a bit. Tell us more about Camply, just for like, what are you doing at the moment, and how are you serving, for anyone who's listening who might need your help on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Camply helps parents find and plan school break and summer camps. We're live in Atlanta, Georgia. We have hundreds of camps all over the Atlanta metro area and hope to expand to other cities soon. Right now, it's back to school season. So we're looking at all those school break days, teacher work days, holidays, digital learning days. Kids are out of school 36 days during the school year. That's a lot of days that parents need care, especially if both parents are working. And more than half of families in the United States have both parents working. And then, not to mention, millions of single parents out there that have to have care for their kids during that time. And then the 10 to 12, however long your summer is, right? Breaking that up and finding care for their kids, and the whole range of everything from subsidized care to specialty camps for kids. And then we hope to expand to activities too, but really it's our goal to help parents with the discovery of the camps and then the planning it. So the calendar, the schedule, the coordinating with friends, the getting registration alerts so you don't miss the deadlines when those come, because they're super competitive. And then helping parents find camps that fit within their budget too, because we all know that, especially right now, sometimes the economy is hard and people are losing jobs and layoffs. And so we want to make it flexible for parents. So all parents can search for free, which was very important to me. And then if they need extra support in planning, they can sign up to get those extra planning tools. So I'm very excited about the growth that we've seen in the past year since we launched last summer. We've helped over 30,000 Atlanta families, which is great, and continue to grow, and then hope to help other cities. And if you want it to come to your city, reach out to us at joincamply.com. And I'd love to chat with you about what it's like in your city and how we could help you.
Love that so much. And I think you mentioned that you're, I think you mentioned you're doing the gym at the moment. Did you say you're reading and getting back to the gym? Is that so? What you're doing for yourself right now then?
Yeah, yeah. I love to read. I do a mix of like historical fiction and then, of course, business books always. So my shelf is very high. I just finished Yesteryear, which is a very popular one around the mom circles right now.
Mm.
And then gym, I love to exercise. My gym just closed, so I'm now in the new mental load of finding new gym that will work with my schedule, right? It's schedule, it's the drive time, it's the motivation to go, it's the money, and it's all of those things. And I was in such a good routine, so it's really hard to switch and find up something new. So, in the process of finding a new gym, and I got a lot of great feedback from parents on social media on what I should try next. So, really excited to see and just keep pouring into myself because I want to be strong for my kids and hopefully future grandkids, chasing after them. And then, of course, it really helps my mental health. I can for sure tell when it's been a week or so that I haven't been to the gym. So that's something that's really important to me. Yeah.
Love that so much. Oh, thank you, Kathryn. It's been so
Thank
nice
you.
talking to you. Yeah, yeah. I think one thing that will definitely stand out to me in this conversation is kind of like your journey, from consulting into building Camply, but how you kind of give yourself the permission to rewrite your like path or rewrite what you thought was important and not. It's not like we forget the past, is it? It's not like we forget the past. I think we respect the past, we honor the past, but we also give prominence like the present and what's here and now. And I think it's so beautiful when people give themselves permission to do that. And I think that really stood out for me. Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you. It
Yeah.
was such a beautiful conversation. And I hope that, all of your listeners know that there isn't a perfect answer, but when you can find something that you're passionate about and maybe it still aligns with your values and you get to be who you are, just take the leap of faith and you deserve it, whether that's just quality time, individual time, doing a passion project. Like you, as a mom and a parent and a woman, deserve to have that time poured into you. Um, I think we all deserve that. And it's just a beautiful thing. So,
Mm. I love that so much. Thank you. Well, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this podcast. I think are you okay for people to maybe connect with you on LinkedIn or what do
oh,
you
yeah, I'd love
need
that.
on this?
I'm Kathryn Hatcher on LinkedIn. And then you can find me on TikTok and Instagram at Kathryn Hatcher with an underscore.
Amazing. Thank you guys for joining for this episode. It's been a pleasure as
Thank
always.
you.
Don't forget to like, to subscribe, and come and find us on social media. And we will see you on the next one. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.